As entrepreneurs, we all want to make a difference. And this is one of the biggest challenges we have. We have to be effective. We know we have to deliver tremendous value to our clients and our prospective clients. So, the more value we can give them, the more value you're going to create for yourself and all the stakeholders. This is the enlightened self-interest of capitalism. Now, there's a key driver here, though, that we have to have, is we all have to be productive. Now, I know you're shaking your head and you're going, geez, I don't want another productivity. Well, how about if you could have a perfect day? I have a remarkable entrepreneur who has been a serial entrepreneur in his own right. He is going to share with us through his journey what he's been able to put together that is a tremendous resource on the perfect day formula. And it's something that you can execute right away. It's what I'd like to refer to as a blueprint to personal success. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. We are at AES Nation. I'm John Bowen, and this is going to be outstanding.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Craig Ballantyne, I am so excited to have you here. We've been introduced by a mutual friend from the Genius Network, and it's just a mastermind group you and I are both part of. We haven't gotten together yet, but I've heard all kinds of great things. They gave me a huge gift that we want to talk about here. And first of all, thank you for joining us.
Oh, happy to help, John. Really excited to share the perfect day formula with your listeners.
Well, one of the things that's so interesting, I think, Craig, is I look at how your productivity, what you're doing. And, I know the challenge of creating all this thought leadership, and you're doing it in multiple disciplines. And to take the time to share with us how you're so effective is, really appreciated.
Just happy to help. I just love doing this because I know that I can free up a couple of hours in everybody's day, and I know that that's what so many people are looking for.
Well, and it is easily several hours a week, or 10 to 20 hours a week, which is huge. Craig, before we go into the formula itself, give a little background. I just gave a tiny bit of the intro, and I really didn't do you justice because you are making a lot of things happen.
Well, what I did, John, was I started way back in the fitness industry, and I started writing for Men's Health in 2000, and I sold fitness programs online, very similar to P90X, but my own version. And I still do that today, so it's been over 15 years. But in around 2006, when I got my first business coach and my business really started to take off, I actually ended up in what I call the paradox of freedom, which is when entrepreneurs, like many of them listening, when you have your own schedule, you set it, and you can actually mess your day up by the way you set your schedule. And so I learned that the hard way. And then over the last almost 10 years now, I've been figuring out how to have these perfect days. And then I've gone on to coach thousands of entrepreneurs on doing this. And I've been able to make a big impact on them. And it's something I wanted to share with the world, which is why I wrote the book. So that's really how I went from fitness guy to personal productivity and success and coaching guy.
Well, I did watch some of your fitness videos, and I could see why some people go, I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy, because you have really demonstrated very well, how to raise the bar and actually pull yourself up on the bar. Right. But then the combination of everything you're doing, this perfect day formula, and let's dive into it. You have 5 pillars that you talk about, and this is so important for all of us as entrepreneurs, because what we have, there's a struggle. And as we have more success, more things come at us, and you can really screw up your life very, very quickly with success and miss so many opportunities to make that difference that you want, to take care, really create the tremendous wealth for all stakeholders, not on the greed part, but to really deliver that value, take care of the people that you love and the causes you care about. And the only way we can do it, so often, Craig, we talk about the vision. We're going to go to the vision. But what I love is you dive into the detail of how you can be really effective. And the very first thing, as entrepreneurs, we all know that we should do is plan, take the planning and preparation. How do we do this? Because we're so darn busy with so many different things going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great point. And so, John, I believe that there are really two types of people in this world. There's the proactive planning person, and there's the reactive person. And the reactive person, quite frankly, is the person that struggles. They're spinning their wheels. Now, people listening to this call don't fit in that category all the time, but they might end up in that category once in a while, feeling that, revenue is flat. And it's because they aren't taking time to step back and do that long-term planning and preparation. And so what I like to do is the 90-day planning, which you read about in a great book like Vern Harnish's Secrets of the Rockefeller Habits, and then also have that long-term vision, which we'll talk about later. But when you have those two planning systems in place, as an entrepreneur, you'll really get ahead in life. And it applies to your day, it applies to your health and wellness, it applies to your personal finances as well. But you have to sit down and do that better planning and preparation than ever before.
Well, and we're going to talk about some of the tools that you have, but what I really like is, you didn't try to invent everything yourself. You've taken some of the leaders, the Vern Harnishes of the world, for example, and Vern, is in Genius Network with us as well, and has some great books, and he's great ideas on this. But this is what as fellow entrepreneurs, talking to one another, and we're all. Don't try to reinvent this stuff. There are so many good strategies, and this is really what AAS is all about, is bringing, these really gurus. I'm going to put you in that category, Craig, because you just have, there's simple when we're ignorant, and then there's, as we get to know more things, there's complexity. And what you've taken the perfect day, organizing that perfect day away from all the complex things that so many of these gurus are doing it, and put it on the right side of complex and made it simple again. And one of the things that you do as you're doing that is to help us hold ourselves accountable. And this, you call it professional accountability. And this is something I'm passionate about. But why don't you share how you think of that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it is something that we need in every aspect of our lives. And so professional accountability gives you two things that nobody else can give you, because it's coming from a coach or a mentor. And a coach or a mentor can give you expert advice and also hold you accountable, unlike your friends who are positive and who will say, yeah, you can do it. I know that you're never going to give up. That's great. But if they don't give you expert advice, and if they don't sit down and say, listen, there were some mistakes made, what can we do about this in the future so that we don't make those mistakes again, and having that level of accountability from a coach, then you'll never get as far ahead in life as you want. And so whether it's getting you as a coach, John, or the coach that I hired 10 years ago to get started, it all starts with getting that expert advice from somebody who's been there and done that, and who has the same morals and ethics as you. And when you have that in place, you're just going to be on a rocket ship to success.
Yeah, this is something that I'm passionate about, as you know, Craig, because I do have one of the businesses I have is coaching the top financial advisors around the world, the top 10%. And I, as a financial advisor, and I built a number of sizable businesses, I can look back at the impact those coaches that I had on me, and then now what our organizations are having on the financial advisors we have the privilege to coach. And I started counting golf coach and all these other coaches. I got 5 coaches. I should be really good. But there's always room for improvement, but it allows, whatever you can accomplish in 5 years, this allows you to accomplish in 2 to 3 years. And it's so powerful, but it's not all about just having, that professional accountability. You talk about, the third pillar is social support. What is that?
It's your cheerleaders in life. So if our professional accountability is our coach, our positive social support is our cheerleaders. It's like those people on the side of the Boston Marathon saying, you can do it, as you're running up Heartbreak Hill, or as you're on mile 25 and you're just, going to that finish line. We all need those people to pick us up. every day, or at least on those bad days. And so again, it's different from the coach because they're not going to be able to give you expert advice. And when you do mess up, they're just going to focus on getting you back on track, as opposed to sitting down and holding you truly accountable and saying you can't do that again. But it really is important to have those people in life. And John, I actually stumbled across all of the 5 pillars from the people that have gone through my weight loss transformation contest. And when they had all these 5 pillars in place, they would succeed. And this social support doesn't have to be real world. It can be online social support as well, whether it's through Facebook groups, membership sites, communities like you have built through AS Nation. It really comes down to just making sure that you have that impact and input from other positive people who share your goals, who really want to see you succeed. And it can be in all formats.
Yeah, and that's why I love being part of a mastermind. AES Nation is a virtual mastermind. I love having like-minded individuals sharing on this journey of making a big difference, whether it's in health, whether it's in this case, in entrepreneurship, business ownership. And, it's just so important because, everybody talks about it's not the destination, it's the journey, but it is really the journey. And this process of building a great business is not just to have more business, it's building a great business to have more life. And one of the best ways to do that is have a really powerful social support group who are aligned with what you're doing. Now, one of the things, I know your fitness background, Craig, and I was kind of surprised on, really the pillar 4 with the incentives to treat yourself, because, so many of us think of a treat ourselves as a big chocolate cake or ice cream or this or that. And I know, having read your book and reviewed your material, that it's not quite that. But how do we go about celebrating, as we're achieving these milestones? And it doesn't have to be the $1 million account or this or that. How do we go about really, creating that incentives, that carrot, if you will?
That's a great question. And so one thing that I've found with all the guys that have gone through my transformation contest, John, is that they never stuck to the program unless they had a true meaningful incentive. And so when I first started doing these 5 pillars, I only used the word incentive, but it's that word meaningful which matters so much, because the guys who stuck with it would say something like this: I'm doing this for my kids. I want to have more energy to keep up with my kids. I want to be able to be around in 20 years when they graduate college. I want to be there when they get married. And it wasn't until they had that level of an incentive that they were willing to stick to the program. So, going out and getting tickets to a football game, that's a little bit of an incentive. That'll keep you going for a bit, but that is not deeply meaningful to you. And so what I've learned over time is that what really matters in life is the people that we spend the time with and the experiences that we have. It's going back to what you said, it's about that journey. And so that's really meaningful to everybody. And so whether it's, you want to have an incentive for your business, or you want to have incentive for getting a new sale or making a new project or writing a book yourself, really we have to dig deep inside ourselves and find that incentive. And it's not going to be this, pizza party reward that we're really going for. We're really going for that meaningful legacy that will last with us for so long from what we accomplish in life, whether it is building a business or writing a book or simply getting back in shape for our kids.
Yeah, it's, I always think of it, and I'm making it a little bit bigger, but that clarity of purpose,
Right.
It's the why. And if we can really take, and I do like meaningful, because it's so easy to get little tiny incentives, and we're all so busy. That's not a big deal. But some meaningful incentive, that milestone that, for the kids, for, something that you want to achieve personally, or the impact you want to have on your business. I mean, there's so many different things, but different things mean different to everyone. And what we want to do is really identify that, because once we have that, and it's like the fitness goal. I mean, so often there's an event that people are striving for, rather than just that that day, being able to do that series of exercise or run or whatever it is. And it's the more we can think, and I like that you brought up the 90 days. I mean, having that kind of meaningful project, purpose, incentive, it really does come together, Craig.
Absolutely, and it's those short bursts, focused activity, and making a big impact, and that's what you're going to be left with, which is really what's going to matter.
Well, let's go to the fifth pillar, and this is all about the big deadline. And this is scary for a lot of us as entrepreneurs because we wait for the big deadline to hit us. And, what are you talking about here?
Well, the big deadline can actually be really positive for entrepreneurs too. And simply the deadline is this thing that motivates us to action and it keeps us going when times are tough. And the great thing that I've experienced as an entrepreneur is the power of a deadline in a sale. And John, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, is when the deadline is coming up for whether it's a discount off your products or your services, or whether it is the deadline for getting the deal done. Man, people sure do take action in those final hours and they make it all come together. So we can use this to incentivize others to, again, invest in our services or our products. And we can also use it within ourselves to get us to take that action that we know we have to take. And so with 90 days or 60 days or 30 days or 21 days, we can all sit there and go, listen, I can commit to this length of time. I can do anything for 60 days. I can do anything for 90 days. And we stick to it. We do these short bursts and we get that big reward at the end. Because again, when you have that deadline in place, first of all, it makes you take action at the start. It gets you through that inertia that we often struggle with. So we say, listen, I got to get started. Time's running out. And then when we're halfway through and we're thinking, man, it's getting tough. I'm kind of sick of doing these workouts, or, I'm kind of tired of this nutrition program. I really want to go back and do something else. But then you say, 6 weeks through this 12-week challenge, halfway there, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And just like in that marathon, you start picking up speed in that final mile and you get the most done in those final days. And so that's the power of the deadline. And I always say that this pillar of all five has the biggest impact on our ability to take action, and it matters so much.
Well, let me go into some of the things that more detail that you talk about, Craig, too, because I mean, this is all coming together with the 5 pillars, and you have what you call the big 3. And the big 3 are, setting a specific time to go to bed and get up. Okay, doesn't seem like that hard. Second, starting every day with the number one action, that we want to get results. And the third is a health plan. I mean, I always think of, so many people focus on time management. What I like you do is you're really focusing on energy management, that you've got to have a health plan that's going to allow you to accomplish everything you want. But, let's go over these big 3. How did you land on these big 3 as being so important?
Yeah, so I put together a few rules for everybody's life that I think can make a dramatic difference. And when you really boil it down, it's kind of like that 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. It's just focus on the things that can really move the needle in life. And if we stick to a regular bedtime and a regular wake-up time, we're going to have a dramatic amount of energy. So I first learned this from one of my mentors, Mark Ford, who I bought my business Early to Rise from. And he said this for years in his newsletters, and I ignored it for years. But when I finally did it, I think it had the greatest impact on my all-day energy, meaning like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm still bursting with energy, I'm not tired, more than even nutrition changes or more than consistent exercise. It was that consistent bedtime that mattered so much. And then the second rule, which is making sure that you focus on your number one priority first thing in the morning and making some progress there. Well, I think that so many people get caught up over the day that they never really get around to working on their big project. And so if you do that first thing, you've made some progress. The world can't take that away from you. And so you end every day with at least one victory in your pocket. And that's so important. That accumulates and compounds over time into you having a lot of success. And then that third rule of having some type of health rule. And health is so important. Anybody who's ever struggled with health, as I did with my anxiety attacks, knows what it is like to feel like you might never be 100% healthy again. And you would, just like the fables have said, a rich man would trade everything for his health, because health really does matter so much. And so that's why we want to have some nice health habits. And one interview I did with a guy, he explained his health habit to me. And just because I think there might be some people out there thinking, oh, he's going to tell me to go and run for an hour a day or something. No, it's not like that at all. It's really doing something that makes you feel fantastic. Both, gives you some movement and mobility, and it gives you some energy. And again, that one guy on a phone call I did, he said that he does 3 ocean swims per week of 20 minutes or something. It allows him to clear his head. It gives him the health and fitness because, you don't have to do a lot to get the most benefits. And it allowed him just to have that energy. And so we just need to find something like that. It might be playing with the kids. It might be doing meditation, or it might be following a certain nutrition program that we know gives us the best results. And as long as we stick to that, everything else will come together. So those 3 rules in place allow us to really achieve a lot in life.
Yeah, these have been important to me, Craig. They were before, and you really. I want to come back to the structure part, but I look at number 1. I get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I go to bed at 10. Okay, that seems to work exactly for me, and I have the whole routine down, and it's very positive. And then, it's funny. I have my global headquarters for my businesses is in my pool house. So I got a little walk down from my house to the pool house. And as I never walk into my office without that one clear action that I want to accomplish. And it's just so important because, things are going to, I've got a few businesses, so there's going to always be something waiting for you. But getting really clear that one thing you want to do just makes such a difference. And the health plan, there are some people, Craig, you and I don't know each other that well, but my guess is you really enjoy fitness from watching some of your videos and so on. I'm one of those guys, I'd take the pill that would just take care of it. I'd be the first guy to do it. And I love doing skiing and a whole bunch of sports, and that's what keeps me wanting to stay in shape. And one of the things in working with a trainer, and I have a trainer come to the house, minimum of twice a week. And the reason for that is I know I will do it. And then we have, the certain goals, every day. And one is that's been just, for those of you who are like me, my fellow entrepreneurs who would take the pill and, really don't need to feel the need to go out and do 100 push-ups this morning to get started, is what, really just, I don't have any conversations anymore at my desk. I am up and I'm on the phone a lot. My typical day is 16,000 steps. That has made such a huge difference. And it's, as you were saying, Craig, it's just these small things, creating that kind of plan. And, it goes back to your first pillar, that planning and preparation. Once you really start thinking about this, it's not that hard to do.
No, and that's wonderful what you've done with the walking phone calls and the walking meetings. I mean, 16,000 steps that's a serious amount of distance, and that's fantastic for you. It's mobility, it gets you moving around. It's a fountain of youth is what exercise is, and also really improves your energy. And you've just simply put systems in place that make it easy. For me, I get my steps in by walking the dog. He's that built-in system, built-in trainer there, the fuzzy little trainer that allows me to get the extra mobility and movement in that just matters so much. Being outside and walking around, being away from the electronics, and you get some clear thinking, and that's actually where I've had some of my best ideas. So there are so many benefits to exercise and to healthy behaviors that entrepreneurs will really get a lot out of.
Well, Craig, I want to go to one of the things as entrepreneurs, you and I, we both have is, usually become an entrepreneur for freedom. And, you can design your life anyway, all that stuff. And what you and I have been talking about, I want to go to vision first because you got some great tools for that. But before we wrap up here, but one of the things I just want to, this tug of, creating all the structure and geez, I'm losing the freedom that I signed up for type thing.
Right. Yeah. No. That's the blowback and the resistance I get from so many people. But I think it's really important for people to understand. You can use so many different analogies. You can go all the way back to Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers, and what they did was they practiced one move over and over again. I believe it was the power sweep. And what did it give them? It gave them the freedom to win the games, to win the Super Bowl, to be that legendary team because they were so structured. And another analogy you can use is, well, let's look at traffic lights. Everybody follows traffic rules. And why do we do that? Because if there was no red lights, if there were no stop signs, imagine the chaos that would be in the world. But with the simple rules of speed limits and red lights, we get to where we want to get to safely and effectively so we can celebrate our freedom when we get there. And so that's the mindset that we need to have with having those systems in our day so that we can get the right things done, become more successful, and then celebrate that freedom at night. So structure your day. Don't waste those minutes so that you can then go home and be present with family, with friends, with whatever activities you want to do at night, and you aren't one of those people stuck to the computer or to the iPhone.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that was my big takeaway, and I've worked with some neuroscientists along the way, Robert Cooper, I don't know if you've met him yet, he's also in Genius Network, but really, you guys are so aligned because he was the one that got me to first focus on a morning ritual. And, so 5 to 7 is exactly planned out. And then I have my prime performing time is 10:30 to noon for me. And then I do get a little tired at 4 to 5 as I'm finishing the day. But I find that 4 to 5, when I'm tired, I'm actually the most creative. And so every single day, those things are blocked out. And, it's just, by having that structure, I'm able to accomplish more. I have more freedom. I take time off to do this and that and so on. And, that really structure does give you the freedom. And I think particularly in your formula, it really comes through.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many examples. Just, Michael Phelps, everybody wants to have the 6 gold medals, but and the freedom that gives you, but nobody wants to put the time in the pool. Or Stephen King, he writes every day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So, when you and I are eating breakfast, he's writing horror stories. But that structure has allowed him to write 55 books. And so that is the mentality. We need to be the high performance people that we are, and it requires that little bit of rigidity so that we have those amazing results.
Well, and let's talk about the amazing results we want, this vision. You have a process you use to help your coaching clients create this vision. Why don't you share that with us?
Yeah, I'd love to, because this is my absolute favorite part of the book. We've broken it down into 3 sections, and this 3rd section, concentrating on what counts, starts with creating your vision and knowing what matters. And so I like to call it, writing a movie script for your life, as if you were looking ahead 5 years from now in the future and saying, here's all of the great things I've accomplished. This is the house that I live on this street, and my spouse and I, we have our kids doing this and this, and we're involved in these aspects of the community. And every year, this is our big holiday celebration and routine. And for people that read my book, they'll see exactly what I want to achieve in 3 years from now. Exactly.
You are extremely clear. I have done this exercise before, Craig, but you were clearer than anyone I've ever read.
Well, thank you, John. I mean, I just love writing this stuff. I love writing it for other people. I mean, I wrote one for Joe Polish after we did some coaching, our friend from Genius Network, and I just enjoyed writing his. And it actually brought a tear to his assistant's eye, because it's so powerful when you get it so clear and so concise with the right details, and you just, everything that bubbles up inside that person as to where they want to be. And when it's written down on paper and they can see it and visualize it and say, wow, this is going to be truly amazing. And then to hit those things, to have those things come true. And it's not just like, it's kind of a dream. I've had a vision before where not only did I get what I wanted, I got exactly what I wanted, and in the exact time frame. And it was just, one of those things that still puts goosebumps on my arms when I talk about it, because it's so important to me, and that's the power of the vision.
Well, I've written out a number over the course of my life, and I was just reading one a few weeks ago, 15 years ago, and it just, it's just amazing, what is possible when you start really thinking it through and making it a reality. And you've got to have the vision first, or, it's kind of the Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you want to go, it's any direction will do. And this is by having that vision. And, in your book, there's some great stories. I don't want to go, into too much detail here. But, I mean, just you have used that effectively for not only yourself, but your coaching clients. Let's go to a segment, Book of the Day. And this is something that's very important. I just find this, I'm always amazed that, really more entrepreneurs don't read more, because there's so much advice available for next to nothing. And your book and kind of the whole formula process, let me pull up on the Amazon, and we'll talk about, because you have more than just a book, but let's go to the book first. What are they going to find in the book? You talked about the 3 parts, but what is it?
Well, really, it's like everything that I have used in the last 10 years to become more successful and to really have those hockey stick exponential results in life when I've used the system. And so I put together the entire system, got a great editor to help me cut down all my ideas into everything they need to know. It's not a long book. It's a very short read, about 90 minutes. And that's really what matters, is I'm teaching people to become more successful in a short amount of time, so it shouldn't be a long book. It really gets to the point and helps people dial in their mornings, control the chaos that the world brings them in the afternoon, and then concentrate on what counts at night.
I'm going to encourage everybody. This is a book that everybody should have. There's no question. Let me go to the next segment, which is resources, Craig. And, we've been talking about an awful lot. And, the problem with podcasts, a lot of times they're driving or they're exercising, they're doing something, and you don't have a chance to write down. So we'll have at aesnation.com, above me here, we have the, just go there, you get all the show notes and so on. But what other websites should we link to so that the, our listeners and our viewers can really get, this to make their days perfect, day in and day out?
Well, I appreciate you asking me, because even though I've written the book, I always continue to find new ways to improve things. And so we've added a few extra tools that aren't in the book, and people can get them for free at craigballantyne.com/free gift. And there's a couple of really important tools there that will help people dial in their days and figure out exactly how to get more done.
This is great, and the it's a super tool, and one of the things that I love about this is that it's so much of life sometimes is big picture and all this, but we're in the trenches. This is pragmatic. You have the vision, you get some clarity, but you're marching to this, and this is every day working on perfection. None of us are ever going to be perfect, but we're working on perfection, and this is great. Craig, one of the things that you talk about the 3 C's, and I just want you to address this, and then I want to share my key takeaways. But you talk about control, conquering, and concentrate. We've been kind of addressing this a little bit, but let's drill in on how we actually make that happen.
Right, and so this comes from an ancient Stoic philosophy: control what you can, cope with what you can't, concentrate on what counts. And it really has allowed me to realize, hey, we can apply this to the 3 parts of the day. The morning, control what you can. We control what time we get up. We control what we do first thing in the morning. We can have the most control of the morning, just like, John, you have that ritual from 5 to 7, you really get dialed in there. And then we have that 5-pillar system in place to overcome any of the obstacles that are in our lives in the afternoon. Everyone's going to bring us their fires and emergencies and ask us to help them, and we do the best we can. Some days the kids get sick at school, and we have to be able to realize those obstacles are going to be there, and we have to be prepared with solutions. And then finally, what everything's all about is concentrating on what counts: family, friends, hobbies, and health at night. And when we're structured in the day, when we use the 3C formula, we enjoy the fruits of our labor at night and during our holidays and on the weekend.
Now, this is so powerful. Let me share what I'm doing as the kind of the key takeaways that are really resonating with me. I mean, the number one thing, that planning and preparation, the first pillar, that 90 days, we see it over and over again. Sometimes we try to look at this long plan. Most of us, I mean, I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60. I have a 25-year plan. Well, I know it's going to change a little, but I can really control that 90 days, that 3-year vision out, I'm working toward is so powerful. Second, professional accountability. I don't care who you are. You need somebody working with you to hold you accountable. And ideally, it's somebody that's walked, in those same steps ahead of you, so that they're not only bringing that accountability, but they're actually sharing with you how you might expedite it along the way. Third, and this is one easy for so many tough guys and gals that are entrepreneurs, that we don't provide that social support and really make the time to be thoughtful on this so that we have that ongoing, the meaningful incentive. We all need that carrot hanging out in front of us. Days can be hard. Nobody gets out of life unscarred. Sometimes it feels like we're getting little scars every day, but we want to, really make sure we have that. And then the big deadline. Procrastination can be an issue, but having those deadlines and using it, to help inspire our clients, our customers to move forward, as well as ourselves and our teams, can make a huge difference. Craig, this has been phenomenal. I want to encourage everybody to go to AES Nation, get the book, get the freebies, get the whole formula kit. This is something that you are going to make a perfect day. Your clients and all your future clients, they're counting on you. Don't let them down. Wish you the best of success.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. AESNation.com.